Together at Sea, How the Philippines is Deepening Alliances at the Close of Sama-Sama 2025. By Zamboanga Times National Desk, October 2025. As the waters around Palawan and the South China Sea calm with the conclusion of Sama-Sama 2025, Manila is quietly recalibrating its strategic posture. This exercise, though routine in name, has become a lens through which the Philippines is demonstrating its response to growing maritime pressure from Beijing. Over the course of the drills involving the Philippine Navy and allied navies, including the United States, Japan, Australia, Canada, France, and the United Kingdom, forces engaged in coordinated combat drills, live-fire exercises, anti-surface warfare, screening and maneuvering, and interoperability training. GMA Network. The Japanese destroyer JS Onami, for instance, docked in Manila and later participated in Sama-Sama from October 13th to the 14th. Embassy of Japan in the Philippines. These naval exercises serve two central purposes for the Philippines. First, to signal that Manila is not acting alone. Second, to build operational cohesion, a network deterrence, in diplomatic parlance, that can complicate coercive maneuvers in contested seas. Strategic message: alliances as deterrence. Confronting grey zone tactics. In recent years, China has increasingly relied on grey zone tactics, vessel ramming, maritime militia harassment, airspace intrusions, and island feature fortifications, to gradually assert control without open conflict. Manila sees strategic alliances as a way to impose operational and reputational cost on such behavior. Joint patrols and multilateral drills make further coercion more visible and hence more politically risky for China. From the Philippine perspective, the value of Sama-Sama is not merely showing warships together, but making it realistic that an intervention or harassment against Philippine assets could draw in multiple navies. Philippine defense officials describe this posture as sea denial plus presence, intended to make it harder for unilateral Chinese escalation to go unanswered. In particular, treaties like the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty with the US and the framework of EDCA, Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement for basing and logistics access, underpin this deterrence strategy. The notion, shared access and combined drills signal that Philippine sovereignty is embedded in a broader security architecture. Diplomatic amplification. Manila does not rely solely on guns and ships. It routinely files diplomatic protests and engages like-minded states through ASEAN, the UN, and other forums to frame China's maritime claims as challenges to regional stability and international law. While the 2016 UNCLOS ruling provides legal authority, the Philippines is emphasizing coalition diplomacy, bringing in allies and institutions to widen pressure rather than litigate in isolation. Defense modernization moves, hardware, platforms, and posture. Even as Manila leans into alliances, it continues modernizing its own forces under the updated Rehorizon 3 plan. While exact figures and final procurements remain in flux, several trends are evident. Missile forces and naval assets. The Philippines is receiving a second batch of BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles from India, reinforcing its coastal defense posture. Reuters, earlier agreements envisioned 3 BrahMos batteries under a $375 million deal. Reuters, in August 2025, President Marcos confirmed plans for additional BrahMos purchases. Global Nation. Meanwhile, the US-Philippine F-16 deal remains under negotiation. The US State Department approved a potential sale of 20 F-16 aircraft worth about $5.58 billion, but Manila has acknowledged funding constraints have delayed concrete steps. Defense news. Locally, procurement plans for corvettes, patrol ships, and island logistic facilities continue. Manila Bulletin. These acquisitions aim to strengthen the Philippines' maritime strike, surveillance, and deterrence capacity, especially in contested reefs and features. Manpower and institutional adjustments. Rather than massive force expansion, emphasis is on specialized training, pilots, technicians, sea denial units, and multi-domain interoperability. The AFP continues to recruit, though no confirmed headline numbers for 2025 have been published. Integration between the AFP and the Philippine Coast Guard is becoming more coherent in joint maritime operations, a necessity for holistic sea control. What the Philippines must manage beyond the ships. Budget constraints and trade-offs. Modernizing a military in the face of internal development demands means tough trade-offs. The F-16 deal illustrates this. Although approved, Manila has admitted that the financial burden is one reason for its delay. Reuters. The government must balance procurement with social, infrastructure, and human development needs. Relative dependence on allies. While alliances offer deterrence, they also raise dependency risks. Manila's challenge is to remain strategically autonomous enough that its foreign partnerships strengthen deterrence without making the Philippines a pawn. Messaging versus escalation. Executing robust exercises and deploying new hardware must be balanced with careful public messaging to avoid provoking unnecessary escalation. Allies and Philippine officials emphasize that sama-sama and similar maneuvers are defensive, not directed at any single state, though Beijing often sees them differently. The takeaway: a new phase in maritime posture. Sama-sama 2025 ends not just as a military exercise, but as a signal of evolving posture. The Philippines is transitioning from a reactive stance to one of collective deterrence, leaning on alliances, building complementary capabilities, and managing its diplomatic narrative. In the coming years, exercises will likely broaden in scope and participants, e.g. more European, Middle Eastern, or Indo-Pacific navies. Manila will push harder for access agreements and logistical nodes, basing prepositioned equipment. Defense procurement will continue, but cautiously, to avoid fiscal overreach or alienating public priorities. If Sama-sama 2025 is a turning point, it is one where the Philippines is making it clear it does not have to face maritime challenges alone. Its partnerships now serve not as optional add-ons, but as integral pillars of its national defense strategy.